Live from the Gray Center's Studio A, it's Bronco News Now. Your news with Nick Musgrave and Danielle Schenk. Weather with Taylor Van Pelt. Bronco Sports with Jared Fox and Haley Moore. And entertainment with Kirsten Gilliland. You're watching Bronco News Now.
Welcome to the April 7th edition of Bronco News Now. I'm Danielle Schenk. With my usual co-anchor, Nick Musgrave, off at a conference in Chicago, I'm pleased to welcome Jordan Brown to the desk.
Thank you, Danielle. We've got quite a lot of news this week. As well, we take a look at some of the past weekend's activities, the new campus food service provider, and a prestigious campus visitor. So let's get going.
Over the last year and a half, Hastings College has been working with the help of students to identify potential new food providers here on campus. 2 such food providers were presented over J-term. After watching the presentations engaging student input, Hastings College has decided to go with fresh ideas. Hastings College Associate Vice President of Student Life, Dan Peters, said that fresh ideas was overall the most intriguing option.
It became clear throughout this process that Fresh Ideas shared our vision of what dining services should be. It's so much more than the food that's on your plate. It is a facility, it is an experience, it should be an enjoyable part of the day.
Fresh Ideas originates from Missouri, though they have several locations in Kansas and Arkansas as well. They have also recently moved to Nebraska, with their newest account being at Midland University. As the name suggests, fresh food is very important to Fresh Ideas. They want to serve healthy food that looks good, presents well, and most importantly, tastes good. Fresh Ideas hopes to restructure both the menus and overall looks of the cafeteria, the blend, and the grill. It'll definitely be exciting to see what direction Fresh Ideas will take the food services at Hastings College in the coming years.
Speaking of food, the campus anti-hunger group Food for Thought held their annual fundraising event this past Sunday. Reporter Jocelyn Bruins was on hand and has the scoop.
Food for Thought recently held their annual fundraiser that will allow them to continue providing for 101 families in Hastings. HC students and community members of all ages gathered in the Doherty Center on Sunday to enjoy live jazz music, soup and cinnamon rolls, while fighting local food insecurity at the same time. Food for Thought is a nonprofit organization dedicated to providing food over the weekends to Hastings public school children who qualify for the free and reduced lunch program. 60% of Hastings elementary students qualify for that plan, being at or below the poverty line. The organization launched in 2008 and has since grown into a thriving program that continues to reach out to more and more families in need.
And so I think it's really important that we continue to do this. And like Dr. Burr always says, she says it's a Band-Aid for like the real issues, but we do help, and we help so that the kids have food over the weekend and they're ready to go on Monday, and that helps them learn. And
it costs $30,300 to supply the families with Food for Thought meals for 1 year, and the money from this event, combined with their fall fundraiser and other donations, goes to support that demand. The fundraiser also included a silent auction offering several gift baskets, treats, artwork, and handmade crafts that were donated by local businesses or friends of Food for Thought.
Kind of feel like we have a calling to serve these people who, are in the free and reduced lunch programs at school, and they don't have food when they go home on the weekends, and, then they come to school and they can't concentrate and they can't get their work done. They're hungry, and we don't want kids to have to go through that. And so that's why, we started with 6 way back in the beginning, and now it's 101, and that's why we just are so thankful for all the donations we get, because it helps grow our organization, and it helps us serve more people in Hastings, which, makes for a greater community.
For HC Media, I'm Jocelyn Bruins.
Thanks, Jocelyn. To find out more, Food for Thought can be reached on that Facebook page.
The Hastings College Forensics team returned to the national top 20 this week at the American Forensics Association National Individual Events Tournament in Gainesville, Florida. The Broncos finished 15th out of more than 80 schools, bridging all divisions of the NCAA and NAIA. Freshman Carly Spotsvalzone led the way for Hastings College, earning a 3rd-place finish in the event program of oral interpretation. Juniors Eunice Adomkwe and Trisha Rickert also placed well for Hastings, as Adomkwe was semifinalist in a program of oral interpretation and a quarterfinalist in prose, while Rickert was a quarterfinalist in persuasion. The Broncos will be performing their national speeches at their annual National Showcase event that is open to the public. The showcase will be held on Friday, April 22nd at 7 p.m. in the Fur Hall Auditorium.
Hastings College was visited by a legendary photographer, Gregory Heisler. I had a chance to catch up with him and talk about the photography process, celebrities he gets to take photos of, and advice he gives to young photographers.
Hastings College was blessed last Thursday as the next presentation of the Artist Lecture Series took place at the chapel. Photographer Gregory Heisler presented to the college community about photographing and his legendary career in the field. Heisler began right away with how important the right lighting is for a picture.
Because it's immediate. You can take a picture that feels depressing because of the quality of the light, and it's going to feel depressing to somebody in China, it's going to feel depressing to somebody in Iceland, it's going to feel depressing to somebody in the States, right? It's just a universal language that we all kind of understand.
Heisler met Professor Erickson a few years ago. Together, they plan on him coming to Hastings this year, which seems fitting since this year's theme is image. Heisler began under Otto Newman in New York City. Since then, he has appeared on Time magazine over 70 times and many other popular magazines. He's worked with such celebrities like Shaq, Tommy Lee Jones, George Bush, and many more. The average person would be starstruck to work with these people, but Heisler is not.
And the worst thing you can do when you're photographing someone like that is to be a fan. That just immediately puts you down here and them up there, and the picture's dead. You have to approach the thing as if you're equals, not in a cocky way, but in like, we both have our thing to do, it's cool for me, it's cool for you.
This day and age, the field and demands for photographers has changed according to Heisler. Many students and young photographers can learn from his work. Heisler believes the main thing each young photographer should focus on, though, is being unique.
Like, we're all like snowflakes, right? Like, everything's different. So what's cool about that is you're unique, right? So what you want to do is maximize how unique you are.
This is Jay Brown, lighting up your world.
If you didn't get to make this presentation, it was great hearing wise words from Greg Heisler. I hope Hastings College keeps bringing these special people to our campus.
One of the favorites of Hastings' music community, the HC Jazz Festival, took place earlier this week. Reporter Britton Rodenberg was there to take in the tunes.
On Monday and Tuesday, April 4th and 5th, the Hastings College Jazz Band held its annual Jazz Festival, as well as a concert for the public April 5th. The festival featured several large high school bands, including Grand Island Senior High, Hastings High, Lincoln Northeast, Millard South, and Waverly. The concert itself for the public featured the Hastings College Jazz Ensemble and the Grand Island Senior High Jazz Band.
Jazz Festival was really great this year. For whatever reason, we had a lot of large schools come to the festival, so we had a lot of really strong bands this year.
The Jazz Festival has been a tradition since the 70s, where high school bands have been coming to Hastings to present their music and gain advice from other bands and music directors, or judicators, as Dr. LaChance calls them. The judicators included Dave Hagedorn, a jazz band teacher at St. Olaf College in Minnesota, Patrick Brown, a doctoral candidate from Lincoln, and Dave Klein from Kearney. Despite having technical difficulties with the lighting system in the chapel, the bands were able to perform very well, according to Dr. LaChance.
And boy, when you're playing in real time, it doesn't take much, to miss a couple notes because you can't see. But I think they came through it really well.
The jazz concert featured the talents of several soloists, including Jonathan Heredia on the tenor saxophone, Nathan Jensen on the trumpet, Russ Riley on the drums, Luke Irvin on the trombone, and Ian Tuttle on the trombone. This concert was also the final concert for seniors Luke Irvin and Ian Tuttle. During the concert, Dr. LaChance was able to feature the talents of Dave Hagedorn on the vibes. Dave is from Northfield, Minnesota, and Dr. LaChance said he is a lovely vibes player, and it was an honor to have him. Future music events the Hastings College will be featuring include a wind ensemble band concert on Sunday, April 10th at 3 p.m. at the Masonic Center, a student recital on Sunday, April 24th at 6 p.m. at First Presbyterian Church, and a student recital on Monday, April 25th at 7:30 p.m. in the Fur Music Hall. For HC Media, I'm Britton Rodenberg, reporting.
Thanks, Britton. That story really struck a chord with us at BNN.
Some adventurous and brave Hastings College students went out to Lake Hastings this past Saturday to participate in a school tradition. Russ Hyman was there for the Bronco Freeze.
On a breezy and brisk morning at Lake Hastings this past Saturday, Hastings College students gathered for an annual tradition unlike any other, the Bronco Freeze. For over a decade, HC students have gathered on the banks of the crisp, cool Lake Hastings waters to take the plunge. Current HC sophomore Cheyenne Kinneyhands braved the waters last year, but was unable to participate this year due to illness. But this didn't stop her from taking in the festivities.
No, I did it last year, so it was super fun, and I regret it, but sometimes sick I can't. But it was so fun last year. It's really exhilarating, and it's fun to dress up and just kind of look ridiculous. So that's my favorite part. I like little traditions like this. So
an air temperature of 56 degrees and heavy gusts of wind didn't stop the many students who partook in the freeze. Participants had extra motivation, though, as bags of money were floated out in the water to incentivize the event. Event sponsor and vice president of the Student Alumni Association, Ryan Miller, had some advice for those jumping in.
I would say my advice would be to get it over with quick. Just jump in. Don't try and inch your way in. Just jump right in and get after it, because otherwise it's just going to be a more painful experience.
It's safe to say that many individuals took Miller's advice. Time in the water was short, though, as students quickly made a dash for the shore, towels, and warm clothes. SAA also provided hot chocolate and donuts to those who participated. One such individual, Alex Stremmel, had this to say about his experience.
It was good for 3 seconds. It was pretty cold getting in there. I would say it wasn't the worst thing I've done in my life, but it was one of the coldest things I've done, for sure. But it was really fun.
Alpha Phi won the costume contest as Finding Nemo. However, the real winners were all those who supported this annual Frozen tradition. For HC Media, this is Russell Heitman.
Thank you, Russ. You would not catch me dead at that water, but hopefully you didn't get too cold out there.
The time of year has come for Student Association elections, and HC Media has you covered. In fact, we will be hosting and streaming a platform presentation and public forum with the 2 presidential candidates and their cabinets on next Monday, April 11th at 7 p.m. Come to the Gray Center right here in Studio A or tune in on hcmediaonline.org. There will be a reception afterward along with voting booths as the voting period for the election begins directly afterward. That's all we have for news this week. Stay tuned for Taylor Van Pelt with this week's weather.
And let's take our proud sponsor, Quiznos. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Bronco News Now.
Hey, this job looks perfect. It says you need people skills.
Check.
Driver's license.
Check.
And a high school diploma. You've got one of those, right?
Skip the drama. Get your diploma.
I got that. You are good to go.
Take that first step towards a better future. Find free adult education classes at finishyourdiploma.org.
Hey, Hard, what's this?
That's my resignation letter.
You're resigning.
Why? Because you're constantly ignoring me. You're half as active as you used to be, and you read stuff like this. You've been putting me under a lot of pressure lately. That's why I'm ready to quit.
I forgot. I'll do better. Please, don't quit on me.
Okay, but remember, it's not what you say. It's what you do.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you.
Let's go for a walk.
Uncontrolled high blood pressure could lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy rate.
Hello and welcome back to BNN's weather segment. After a long month of absence, it's time to get you back up to speed with what you can expect from Mother Nature. As always, we will have the state highs and lows as well as the anticipated 5-day forecast. But first, let's take a look at what today has in store for us. Today we can expect a similar forecast to the last few days as the high will reach around 61 degrees with mostly sunny skies. While it will be sunny, winds will still be blowing steadily from the northwest at 10 to 20 miles per hour. That wind will increase to 25 to 35 miles per hour in the afternoon, with gusts reaching as high as 45 miles per hour. So make sure you hold on to your hats, gentlemen, and skirts, ladies, as it's going to be very blustery. Now looking into this evening, temps will drop to a near freezing at 33 degrees. Winds will also continue blowing out of the north at 20 to 30 miles per hour. However, those wind speeds will drop down to 5 to 10 miles per hour after midnight. So now let's take a look at the rising temperatures across the state. Chadron, you're going to see a high of 61, Scottsbluff 64, Sydney 63. Moving up into Valentine, you're going to see a high of 58.
North Platte 64, McCook 66. Moving a little bit closer to home, Norfolk with a high of 58, Lincoln with a high of 63, and Hastings with a high of 61. And now let's take a look at the state lows. There's going to be a lot of freezing temperatures around the state. Chadron with a low of 29, Scottsbluff and Sydney with a low of 31, Valentine with a low of 31 as well, North Platte with a low of 30, and McCook with a low of 33. Again, moving a little bit closer home, Norfolk with a low of 31, Lincoln with a low of 34, and Hastings with a low of 33. So now let's take a look at what to expect over the next 5 days, including to take a look at how the weekend's weather is going to pan out. Friday will be another sunny day with a high near 63 degrees. However, the winds will continue to blow as gusts will reach as high as 25 miles per hour, although the more common wind speeds throughout the day will be closer to 10 to 15 miles per hour. Friday evening will continue with clear skies, and again the wind will hover right around freezing at 33 degrees. The wind will blow from the north at 10 to 15 miles per hour until midnight, when the wind will shift to a southern direction. The weekend will begin with a mostly sunny day and a pleasant high of 64 degrees, but keep an eye on that wind, as current trends would lead me to believe it could be another windy day. Saturday night will be partly cloudy, which will keep that temperature from dropping too much, as temps will be around 48 degrees. Moving now to Sunday, temps will reach to the 70s for the first time this week, as the high will creep up to 74 degrees. Expect mostly sunny skies to cap off what should be a lovely weekend. Sunday night brings trends of 50% chance of rain, along with mostly cloudy skies and a low of 44. Now looking at Monday, that rain could continue to start off the next week with a 30% chance of showers to go along with the partly sunny skies and a high near 55 degrees. On Monday evening, we will see it will be clear throughout the day with a low around 32 degrees. If temps do reach below 32 degrees, look out for frost on your car on the windows on Tuesday morning. Tuesday will be sunny and the high will warm back up to nearly 60 degrees and topping out around 58 degrees. Finally, Tuesday evening will be partly cloudy with a low around 38. Well, that's all the weather I have for you this week. Look like it's going to be quite a pleasant week this weekend, although the winds certainly will be blowing, so take this opportunity to take up kite flying. Coming up after the break, Jared and Haley will have all of your Bronco sports coverage. Stay tuned, you're watching Bronco News Now.
When I was 6, my days were spent playing basketball. When I was 6, my dream was to make it to the NBA. When I was 6, my mom had a stroke.
I'm Paul George, and I want you to spot a stroke fast.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911.
Protect the ones you love.
Spot a stroke fast.
It's a short ride from your neighborhood to your naturehood. To find a neighborhood park or green space near you, visit discovertheforest.org.
Hello, Bronco Nation, and welcome back to Sports on Bronco News Now. I'm Jared Fox.
And I'm Haley Moore. Today we will recap a busy weekend on the Hastings College campus, which included softball, tennis, as well as track and field.
But first, the Hastings College baseball team had a busy past week with a pair of doubleheaders over the weekend and a non-conference matchup with Kansas Wesleyan on Tuesday. Sam Bennett made it out to Duncan Field each time and has the result of all 5 games.
The Broncos baseball team opened back-to-back doubleheaders Friday night against the Northwestern Red Raiders. Hastings sent sophomore ace Will Reynolds to the mound for Game 1, and Reynolds was in control throughout, striking out 8. Reynolds also benefited from quality glove work from his defense and timely hitting from the order. Hastings got an 8-0 victory with Reynolds going the distance for the shutout. Game 2 saw Andrew Kuda on the bump for HC, and while he did have signs of command, the Red Raiders got to him early, jumping out to a 4-0 lead. The Bronco defense remained strong for the second game, but mistakes kept Hastings from keeping their scoring consistent. The Broncos put up a fight, but ultimately fell to Northwestern 6-5. The Broncos were back in action the next afternoon against Dordt, and again they had to fight for a victory. The batters faced tough competition in Dordt starter Connor Hopkins, but ultimately scored 5 unanswered runs after giving up 3 early scores. Starter Garrett Catron was taken out in the 6th, and on came Xander Schmidt, who put out the fire and earned the save. In Game 2, the Bronco bats exploded for 11 runs as they cruised to an 11-4 blowout victory. Finally, the Broncos had a non-conference matchup with Kansas Wesleyan on Tuesday, which saw Nick Schumann getting the nod for Hastings. The offense struggled to make solid contact against Coyote starter Tyler Huffstickler, but they did take advantage of his erratic control, using walks, passed balls, and productive outs to score 3 runs despite having no hits. Hastings finally got some hits and more runs on the board, but a Dustin Stokes home run kick-started a massive offensive inning, and KWU ultimately won 16-7. Coming out of the non-conference loss, head coach Steve Spongberg said that he's liked the steps his team has taken in recent weeks.
Tonight certainly wasn't as good a game as we'd like to have, but we have been playing better, and I think the big thing's been our offense. I think over the last 2 weeks, or about 10, 12 games, we've started to hit the ball better.
Indeed, since their March 22nd win against Oberlin College, the Broncos have outscored their opponents 102-52. They'll need to keep up those tendencies as they face a tough couple of weekends on the road.
So we got 2 weekends in a row in the conference on the road against 4 teams that are very good, and that's going to give us 8 games. So.
The next home game for the Broncos will be April 20th against Grace University. For HC Media, this is Sam Bennett reporting.
Thank you, Sam. The Broncos head to Sioux City this weekend to take on Morningside and Briarcliff.
This year, the Hastings College softball team looks to its big bats for the bulk of production on the diamond. The Broncos are currently 23-11 on the year, but have hit a tough stretch on the schedule. Austin Drews has an update on the squad and its recent performances.
After a hot start to the regular season, the Hastings College softball team has hit its first roadblock of the 2016 campaign, dropping its first 6 games of the conference schedule and splitting a doubleheader with out-of-conference foe Bethany College last Sunday, April 3rd. The squad sits at 23-11 on the year, but has lost 7 of its last 8 after returning from a spring break trip to Arizona, where the club posted a 7-1 record and tallied 74 total runs. The Broncos won the first game against Bethany 11-10 in a high-scoring affair on Sunday, yet dropped the second game 2-0. Other losses in this tough stretch include an 11-10 and 5-4 losses to the Concordia Bulldogs on April 5th. The team looks forward to 4 more games on the road, a doubleheader with Dakota Wesleyan on April 9th and a doubleheader with Briarcliff on April 10th, before returning to play Doane College April 13th at home, and that will start a long home stretch. Reporting from the Smith Softball Complex, this is Austin Drews.
Thanks, Austin. You can follow the team more closely on hcmediaonline.org and hastingsbroncos.com.
And as if it wasn't already a busy sports weekend in Hastings with baseball and softball, the track and field team was hosting a meet, and they were quite successful. On the women's side, Janelle Bethea won the 10,000 meters, while Shantanique Cunningham won the long jump and finished second in the 100-meter dash. Other second-place finishes included Maddie Smith in the 5,000 meters, Jessie Johnson in the 3,000-meter steeplechase, and Anna Meganhart in the pole vault. On the men's side, Stetson Meyer won the high jump, Kevin Nelson won the long jump, and Adrian Lewis tied for first in the 200-meter dash. Fedadi Akua also finished second in the triple jump, so the track team will head to Concordia this weekend.
Both the men's and women's bowling teams had strong showings at nationals this past weekend. The men's team finished 10th overall, their best showing ever, and the women's team got a 14th place finish, remaining a top team after finishing 7th last year. The women's team also brought home some individual hardware, as Emily Eckhoff was named first team All-American and finished second in Player of the Year voting. Samantha Laird was also voted the National Freshman of the Year.
Moving now to tennis, the men's team took a trip to Colorado this past weekend, playing in 4 matches. The team won against Colorado College and Colorado Christian, but lost against Mesa State and Metro State University. As for the women, they hosted Mount Marty on Saturday, winning that matchup. The men next host the University of Nebraska at Kearney a week from today, while the women host the College of St. Mary this weekend. Well, there ends our sports reporting for this week. Good luck to all the Bronco teams in action this weekend.
Coming up next, Kirsten will have our entertainment fix for the week. But first, we would like to thank our second sponsor, Russ's Market. Stay tuned. You're watching Bronco News Now.
Hello Bronco Nation and welcome to Entertainment. I'm your host, Kirsten Gilliland. We've got a brand new edition of the BNN Binge-a-thon after a long spring break, so let's get to it. But first, let's discuss a movie that's being talked about the most right now, Batman vs. Superman. The movie grossed over $166 million in the first weekend, but moviegoers were not as amenable to the idea the second weekend, after the movie got very poor reviews, both from critics and some viewers. As it sits right now, the movie has a 29% from critics on Rotten Tomatoes, although the audience score on the same website is a far more friendly 70%. And while many people have had many bad things to say about the plot, or the amount of action as opposed to the story, it is worth noting that a lot of the fans of the comics are saying positive things about the movie. However, the best thing to come out of the bad reception of the movie has to be the Ben Affleck meme. This has originated from a video of an interview with Ben Affleck, who played Batman, and Henry Cavill, who played Superman. During the interview, the two are asked about disparaging reviews their movie has received. Cavill responds to the question and talks for a while. And during this, the video slowly zooms in on Affleck's sad face, overlaid with Simon and Garfunkel's Sounds of Silence. If you've not seen it, it's definitely worth a watch. Moving over to the music industry, recently rapper and producer Kanye West allowed for his newest album, The Life of Pablo, to be available for download and stream on Apple Music, Spotify, and a few other streaming sites. The album was previously only available on Tidal, a streaming site owned by fellow rapper Jay-Z. What's interesting is that West had noted upon the album's release that it would stay exclusively on Tidal and would never be on Apple. However, West decided to change his mind, which allowed his music to be available to 100 million Spotify users and 11 million Apple Music subscribers. The Life of Pablo looks to be the first #1 album to be available exclusively by streaming. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the weekly binge. Today's binge-worthy show is the AMC hit The Walking Dead. With the season 6 finale premiering April 3rd, I thought it was only appropriate. The Walking Dead was developed by Frank Darabont based on the comic book series by Robert Kirkman, Tony Moore, and Charlie Adlard. The Walking Dead takes place in a post-apocalyptic America after an unknown virus has infected the living and caused the dead to come back to life. The show follows a group of survivors as they travel the country and fight for their lives against the army of zombies, or walkers. The most notable of these characters include Rick Grimes and his son Carl, Daryl Dixon, Carol, and Michonne. The show first premiered in the U.S. on October 31st, 2010, and since has produced 6 seasons, 150 episodes, and has won several awards, including Critics' Choice Television Award for Most Binge-Worthy Show of 2015. The show's popularity has also led to spin-off shows, such as the talk show Talking Dead, airing after each Walking Dead episode, and the new Fear the Dead, which just ended its first season and is a precursor to the Walking Dead series itself. The 7th season is set to continue airing Sunday evenings, starting in October of this year. Well, that is all we have this week for entertainment, but tune in next week for more culture news and find out the new binge-worthy show, Movie or Music. I'll send it back to the desk with Danielle and Jordan.
Thanks for watching Bronco News Now this week. We will be back next week, same time, same place.
We would like to relive all the BNN fun or get the scoop on other campus news. Visit us at acmediaonline.org. Until next time, love yourself, Broncos.